Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the LIV'N podcast. We have another very special guest here today. Actually, we have our first photographer with us, which is truly an honor. This guy has worked with a lot of models, a lot of brands, done Denver Fashion Week, a lot of events, and he's all over the place killing it. And I'm so happy that he's here. Without further ado, we got Cam Thompson. How you doing, brother?
Good. Thank you for having me. I appreciate your time and I appreciate what you do. This podcast is very interesting, to be able to see the other side of people, kind of get a little bit deeper insight onto people's creative process.
Right.
I really vibed with it, and I really vibed with you. Actually, I've known you pretty much my whole fashion runway career in Denver.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's great. I didn't even know that.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, this is a great story. The way that I met you is the same way that I got into runway shows. So the first wardrobe social was completely free on Eventbrite.
Right.
And I found it one night. I was just like thumbing through events looking for fashion related stuff.
Right.
I had done a bunch of like editorial stuff before, but I'd never done a runway.
Right.
And I saw this and I was like, this seems great. So I just showed up with my camera and told people I was media and took photos and like met people, met you, met Glenn.
Yeah.
And was invited back to the second one. So that's
Wow, that's crazy. I had no idea, but it's funny that you say that because when that specific event we met at, like you stuck out more than anybody else, only because like you were just super social. We were just coming up like, hey, can I take some pics from you? Hey, can you stand up? Like you're just like ready to go, and I was like, yo, I respect that. Like, you're just coming up and just being who you are, but just coming up with confidence and wanting to capture the moment. So.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I was very eager that night to just get my name out there and meet people. And it was also such a great event. I think even since then, I haven't been to many runway shows that are kind of like Wardrobe Social.
Right.
In the way that he really takes time to cultivate an environment that's like very fun, but very friendly.
Yeah.
And everyone there is super creative and artsy and,
Right.
and very kind. And I just, something about that event is like special to me. And now we're having the third one at the end of the month.
Yeah.
So it's exciting.
Yeah, it definitely is, man. So for the people that know you, they know you are the photographer.
Mm-hmm.
But let's go a step back, like before photography was in the picture.
Totally.
What was life kind of like that beforehand, and like how did you kind of get into it initially?
Definitely. So I'm from Portland, Maine. I was mostly just like a punk skater kid my whole life. I played sports, but wasn't too interested. I was more interested in just like skating, hanging out with my friends, and music. I loved music growing up. That was a really important theme in my life.
Right.
But also I dealt with a lot of mental health stuff from an early age. Like I dealt with a lot of anxiety and depression and was never quite sure how to properly channel it.
Okay.
Skating was one thing, music was another thing, but it didn't feel like it was fulfilling that creative itch, you know? And the way that I got into photography was my senior year of high school. We were able to do, for the last month of school, we were able to do an independent project rather than go to class.
Okay.
And I randomly picked landscape photography. And I was like, me and my sister are going to drive cross country and we're going to go to all these national parks.
Oh, wow.
And I'm going to get into landscape photography. And it just made sense. My dad is a videographer. My mom's a photographer. And both my sisters are kind of into it. But actually, something ended up happening where, like, I had sort of a mental, breakdown. And we didn't think it was the best idea for me to be driving cross country at the time.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I was like, all right, I'm going to switch gears and try to still get this project done. And I picked up portraiture, and I just reached out to all my friends, and I was like, hey, this weird thing happened. I need your help. And everyone came through, and I just fell in love with portraiture and very quickly loved the fashion side of things, of like styling everyone. And I always have been a thrift thrifter.
Okay, yeah, you found some good stuff there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for a little while, what I would do is I would style my friends in my own clothes.
Okay.
Which is like so narcissistic, but I thought it was the coolest thing. I was like, I want to get my clothes, but I don't want to be wearing them. I want my friends to be wearing them.
Right.
And I did that for a long time. But yeah, that's how I initially got into it. It was sort of a moment of necessity. I was like, I need to finish this project. I'm just going to do portraiture. And it just so happened that really hit home for me, and that started to scratch that creative itch.
Oh, that's awesome. So before that, had you ever even like touched a camera or known anything about photography on any type of level?
No, not at all. I think the only time I was really playing around with cameras, I was like 9, 10, 11, 12. My dad had a bunch of Sony Handycams.
Okay.
Because he's a videographer from the 80s and 90s. And I would just like film myself all the time on those, kind of like almost like an early like YouTube vlog.
Okay.
But I wasn't posting them anywhere. I was just like playing around and being an idiot on this Handycam. And but never got into still photography until this senior year of high school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So going from that project, I guess when it was all said and done and, you had all your friends modeling your clothes and whatnot, what was kind of the spark from there? Be like, hey, actually, I want to maybe take this a step further. I really want to like dive deep into this.
Well, I think pretty quickly it was apparent that I gravitated towards streetwear clothing.
Okay.
And a big part of that was just because I'd always collected streetwear clothing, and that's what showed up in all my photos I was styling my models with. But then I just grew a new appreciation for it, and I went back and I kind of re-looked through all of my like skateboarding magazines, my Thrasher mags, and I just got a new appreciation for streetwear clothing, specifically streetwear and skateboard clothing. And I saw potentially, a career, a long path forward, but I just, from that moment on, I was like, I think my dream is to work with these companies. Like, I would love to be working with companies like Stussy or Supreme or Only New York or all those types of things.
Right.
And I've spent years sort of analyzing their stuff and trying to find my own style, but also be able to make an impact. So yeah, that's kind of where I got the inspiration from there. I was like, oh yeah, it's fashion and it's definitely going to be streetwear.
Right.
And that's what got me really excited and still gets me really excited.
Okay. And so we're still in Maine at this point, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're still in high school, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what brought you to Colorado? Because it was Maine to here, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what brought you here, and then how did you think in your head and how your photography would kind of go from here? I don't know if you've been here before you moved here, or just you just went on a whim, or what was that like?
Yeah, so pretty much I came out here because I started at school in Boulder in 2016.
Okay.
And that was pretty much strictly just because I wanted to party. Like, I was like, I did okay in high school. I forget my GPA, honestly, but I was like, yeah, I'll do fine with school. I just want to like have a great time the next 4 years. And that quickly was not the right move. But I came out here, I think I did 3 semesters up at Boulder.
Okay.
But simultaneously, I just fell in love with the state and the people, and I'm a big snowboarder. And plus, there's a huge photography scene out here that I was pretty unaware of.
Right.
And particularly in Denver, there's a strong community of people here that are, international professionals or like local artists, and like film is very strong in Denver.
Yeah.
But yeah, since 2016, I just kind of fell in love with Colorado and been out here 10 years. And my photography has gone through many different stages in those 10 years.
Right.
And sometimes I've like put it on the back burner for a little while. And the past 2-3 years, I've sort of been full steam ahead on it, which feels great. And yeah, I'm just lucky to be in a place like Denver to, explore my career and get to take full advantage of this fashion scene out here, because that is pretty strong as well. I didn't expect that.
Yeah, it's definitely grown over the years, man. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger every year, which is pretty great. Which opens up a lot of doors for, you know, models, photographers, designers, etc.
Totally.
And so with you realizing the photography scene was, you know, pretty big out here, at least in comparison to Maine, what was networking like for you, and like how do you go about networking and kind of connecting with, you know, other people in your industry?
Definitely. So for a little while, all my networking looked like was I was going to this art school in Lakewood called RimCAD.
Okay.
And I gravitated towards my professors, and I sort of wanted them to like connect me with people who were already working in the field, and I wanted some real world experience kind of from the get-go as soon as I started going there. And I would go to these events that were put on by the school, but they never really led to real world opportunities, I felt. So I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to start going to networking opportunities that I find on my own. And Wardrobe Social was one of the first really important ones. And yeah, networking in the fashion scene, I'm sure you can attest to it, is like very interesting.
Yeah.
Like some of the people you meet are very big personalities, and like they like to control a room, and it's interesting trying to, I don't know, I sometimes I'm worried like I'm faking, like I'm ingratiating myself in the wrong way, or like I'm not being true to my, I don't know, I guess I just get a little overwhelmed when there's like so many big different personalities in one room.
Right.
And I'm doing everything I can to sort of connect with everyone.
Gotcha. So what kind of helps you, I guess, step outside of your comfort zone in those moments where you're like, I don't know how I should go about this, or I don't know if I'm doing too much or not enough?
Really, it's I'm comforted by my camera. Like I'm able to use that as a tool to start a conversation with someone, just be like, hey, do you mind if I take your photo? And then kind of go from there. Like I'll quickly introduce myself. I'll ask, how do they know Glenn, or how they get invited to this?
Right.
And that really helps me break down that wall, sort of. I think just being able to use my camera, and it almost immediately tells the person like, hey, I'm a photographer. I'm just kind of doing this I'm not taking your photo for anything like very serious right now. It's not for a publication or anything. It's just like, we're just having a good time. And like, you look great. It's always good to compliment someone when you're taking their photo. And those few things really ease the tension and make it easier for me to relax and just be myself and connect with people on a more genuine level.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I want to speak on like the technicalities of photography.
Totally.
So to maybe we'll call it the average mind, you know, some people generally think photography is like, hey, you just point and shoot, you press a button and that's what you get. But obviously, you know, and other photographers know it's so much more than that. So behind the lens, what are you looking for? What are you looking at? What are you focusing on? Kind of run down some of like the details that are going through your head as you're snapping away and you're looking for like the perfect setting, scene, etc.
Totally. So for me, lighting is the most important thing. I always observe the lighting of a space before I start shooting in it, and depends on if I'm going to be using my own lighting equipment or if we're just going to be using the ambiance of the room. But mainly what I'm looking for is to strip down the unnecessary details of a photo. So like a lot of fashion photography can be, very exuberant, and they can add a lot of flair to it and a lot of background, a lot of, just extra elements to the photo. But I think it's really important to sort of just cut out the noise and just make sure that the relationship of the photos between the photographer and the subject,
Right.
and really give the viewer an authentic look at this person, like in that moment, rather than, lighting always adds some beauty to every scene, but like I think it's important to kind of give the raw, unadulterated view of someone.
Right.
And yeah, I guess so overall when I'm looking through my lens finder, I'm looking for simplicity. I'm looking for obviously some dynamic body movement. Shapes are always important, but in general, it's however I can strip it down and kind of make it as simple as possible. So it's just me and the subject and just a bare view.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there a specific skill that you would say kind of that makes you stand out amongst other photographers or other people? So, obviously I'm not a photographer, but me and you are looking at the same thing. We take the same picture. So what makes you stand out more just in your own creative way than it would somebody else?
That's a great question. I mean, photography is so uniquely independent that you and I we could take 20 photos of the same thing and they'd be completely different. And some people would love yours, some people would love mine's. Photography is very to the eye of the beholder for sure.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of my creative taste, I like to take the time to really make someone look as beautiful as possible. Like that oddly kind of makes me happy and gives me pleasure is like,
Yeah.
So I love working with newer models who don't have too much in their portfolio, because if I give them a photo that they really fall in love with and they feel really great about, then that just makes my day. Like that is such an amazing feeling.
Right.
Really being able to show someone truly like how beautiful they are and how great they look.
Right.
It is awesome. It's so cool.
Yeah. And so kind of on that, what has photography kind of taught you about, confidence, and whether it be in yourself or whether in confidence in somebody else, or what that brings to them, or even like the patience of trying to find the right shot, or just kind of the human dynamic in general. What is that? How would you describe that from behind the lens?
Yeah, no, I would say confidence, it sort of showed me that a lot of confidence is very poised and just sort of like how you carry yourself from moment to moment. And a lot of models have amazing confidence on the outside. They portray a lot of very strong, powerful confidence when they're walking down the runway.
Right.
They may not feel that internally. And that's sort of the weird dynamic it's taught me, is that confidence is, you can sort of fake confidence a little bit. Like you can portray to the world that you're feeling confident with certain body movements and certain gestures and that sort of thing. Whereas, deep down you may not feel that truly confident. But yeah, it's I guess that's the main thing that pops into mind when you talk about confidence, is how photography showed me that it's kind of, you can fake it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
There's a couple little tricks to it. Yeah. And in terms of confidence with myself, I think it's helped my confidence just because it's helped me sort of minimize myself in my own life. Like for a long time, I thought I was the center of the universe. I thought the world revolved around me, and I had to have a big perspective change. And I think my photography helped me with that, because it helped me just look outwards, look to other people, find the beauty in landscapes, portraits, street photography, and not think so highly of myself.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you want to kind of dive into that moment? Was there like a specific moment that kind of like, I guess, humbled you in a way?
Totally. Yeah, so I got sober my first time in 2019, and then the last time I got sober was 2023, and it's been since then.
Okay. Nice.
But yeah, it was really in 2019 where I was like smacked right up the face. Like it was kind of I was just living in my own world. I was totally self-absorbed, and I wasn't really doing photography at the time. I was, concerned with other things,
Right.
partying and girls. And then I went to rehab for the first time, and very shortly after that was the pandemic.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I kind of had to learn how to be sober during the pandemic, which was really difficult. But Yeah, kind of being forced to step back and really do some inward work and realize that my behaviors, my thought patterns, my moral fiber was pretty out of whack, before 2019. It was very egocentric.
Right.
And at that point, I just really had to have a huge shift in my state of mind if I was going to be able to stay sober.
Right.
And that involves like looking to others and being of service to others and really just getting out of your own head and being a real person and living in the world. But yeah, that in that moment, that was a big new chapter for me in my life. And yeah, I think it's helped my photography, and I think I've gotten better at connecting with others through my photography. And I'm just very glad that I was able to have that experience.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah.
And congrats, on your sobriety.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
What would you say was the biggest challenge going from, now I'm sober and in my craft of photography and kind of, managing all of that through kind of a different lens, if you will, no pun intended. But
Yeah. No, I think it sort of goes back to that confidence thing, because for a long time when I was making photos, usually I'd be on one substance or another. I'd be drinking or something.
Right.
And I was able to have less inhibition, sort of explore some creativity. And if I messed up, I could easily just be like, I'm drinking, whatever. And then after that, I had to switch things up and realize, like, first I had to figure out who I was without substances. And then I had to figure out how I like to communicate with my subjects while I'm taking photos.
Right.
Because more often than not, like, a lot of my friends, when I was taking photos of them, I was drinking, they would come over, they would drink with me, and It was a very relaxed environment I was trying to foster, even though it was, totally fake and synthetic. But after that point in time, I had to figure out how to carry myself, and then figure out how to carry myself as a photographer and direct my subjects and be, professional.
Right.
And also not be so bullheaded when it comes to creativity. So even in the past, I'd be selfish and egocentric in other aspects of my life, but at the same time, when I was making photos, if someone else had an idea, I was not likely to listen to it, and I would just go ahead with whatever I was doing anyways.
Right.
And then once I sobered up, I was like, oh yeah, I have to collaborate with people and like communicate and work with other creatives. And that's just been a blessing, because for a long time for some reason I thought just like, I gotta do this all by myself. I gotta have all these genius ideas all by myself, and no one else can come and critique them. But it was so wrong, and such a twisted way of looking.
Yeah. And that's how we learn.
Right.
So, what challenges do you maybe still deal with when it comes to like collaboration, and maybe somebody doesn't see the images or the vision that they see, and trying to like navigate getting on the same page? How do you deal with all that?
Yeah, I think I would say the biggest obstacle in terms of that for me right now is, I would say, my technical skill, or at least the level that I can have. So when I'm collaborating with people and ideas are going off, like, usually what I like to do is just try everything. And like, if anyone has an idea, let's give it a go, let's try it. Usually what I find when there's like disagreements about creating something, or a certain vision is not being executed, the problem I found is like, I can't figure out how to light it properly, or like they're not explaining how to light it properly to me, or like we're just having two different ideas, and then tensions start to rise a little bit.
Gotcha.
But overall, what I like to do is just like, if someone has an idea, let's try it, and then usually we'll create more from there, and just things snowball really easily.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
So back to the example of, the tension and trying to find a resolution and maybe not seeing eye to eye, do you eventually get to a solution, or what typically happens in those moments? I'm sure there are very few.
Yeah.
Maybe more than usual. I don't know. But
Yeah. I would say most of the time we get to a solution. There have been a few times where like emotions got riled up, and it was my fault where I was just like, you know what? Let's just call it a day. I don't think we're going to make it. I don't think like
Right.
whatever's happening is going to happen today.
yeah.
But for the most part, it's usually we're able to make something. And even if we have to kind of stop down, step away from each other, take an hour, and then come back and have a fresh pair of eyes on things, that usually helps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, some stuff just can't be resolved right there in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody take a breath, step away, and just come back with a fresh head.
Yeah.
And see what we can, go from there.
Right.
Yeah.
When I was at my school for a little while there, I was still sort of bullheaded and very opinionated about what we were creating, and
Right.
I was like, it has to be done this way, and I want my studio assistants to be doing X, Y, and Z.
Right.
And very quickly was met with like the professors and my classmates were like, this is not gonna work, man. Like it's like,
Yeah.
if you want to work in this industry, like you have to actually work with other people. Like you can't just show up and control the world.
Yeah.
And it goes back to that theme of like, needing to be in control and sort of trying to control the narrative, basically.
Right.
So yeah, that's always been this like fine line that I'm riding of my control freak coming out, or I'm actually like allowing creativity to happen and I'm fostering a healthy environment for other people to share ideas.
Right.
Yeah.
So one of the things I'm always curious about when it comes to creative work in general is the business side of things. And so in things like photography, a lot of people could see like, that as a hobby. And sure, maybe it starts out that way, but eventually over time, it formulates into a business and like, this is my career and so on and so forth. So what mindset shifts did you have to make from going from, quote unquote hobby to making it, a business where you're making money, you're booking shoots, events, so on and so forth, and like, what does that look like behind the scenes?
Definitely. I think the biggest mindset shift I had around that was for a long time, like 6 or 7 years, I sort of just was under the assumption that I'll make the work, I'll put it out in the world on a website, on Instagram, one way or another, and the money will somehow just kind of come to me. Like I'll just keep making the work, put it out, and things will all just happen. And then it wasn't really until I met a couple photographers out here that they were like, no, like you need to make your business and you need to sell yourself and you need to like show the world your business and who you are more than just the work. And that was very uncomfortable at first. I didn't like the feeling of having to market myself or having to network at these events, or like handing out business cards was totally foreign to me.
Yeah.
But since then, my like network and community of creative people has doubled or tripled. Like it really does show up.
Right.
But yeah, for a long time, I was very stagnant with my business, and I was sort of just like, I was a hobbyist. I was kind of just expecting money to show up out of nowhere. And then in the past 2-3 years, things have changed a lot where I'm actively reaching out to brands and I'm going to, shows just with the intention of talking with designers and, potentially talking about a campaign to work on with them, or if I'm doing Denver Fashion Week, then just that's a great networking event. Like everyone who goes there is deep in the fashion scene. So I don't know. It's something about it's just things quickly change when I stopped sitting back and expecting things to come to me
Right.
versus going out and actually getting them.
Yeah, that's huge.
Or reaching for them.
Right.
Yeah.
And putting yourself out there. So, all right, you go to these events, you network with people. What is, I hate to use this word, but I can't think of another one. What is your pitch, essentially, if, you meet somebody, you want to work with them or work with the brand or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you have a portfolio of stuff. You go to your IG, you can see the stuff. But if we were just talking, and we didn't have any of that, how would you kind of market yourself for getting, somebody or someone or some company to work with you?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, that's still something I'm still tweaking on and honing in. But if I didn't have any of my, material, my portfolio or anything, what I think it really comes down to is people like to work with someone that they like to be around. So the number one thing is to just be very sociable and affable, but also honest. Like, don't like kiss someone's ass. Like, be true and be authentic. But it's not, especially in the creative industry, like, you don't have to be so cutthroat business when you're meeting people. Like, people like to kind of be around laid back creatives,
right,
and work with other fun, laid back people. So I think that's always number one, is like, I just try to present the best version of myself. And usually when I'm going up to a brand owner or a designer to work with them, it's because I genuinely like their stuff.
Right.
So that's very easy. It's like very easy to compliment their work and say, like, I would wear this. Like, I would want to work. I want to work with you because I believe in what you're making.
Right.
And that feels great to be able to say.
Yeah.
Because I definitely have worked with a couple companies where it's like, okay, yeah, this is a paycheck. But yeah, overall, just I always work on presenting the best version of myself, the most chill and affable version of myself, but while also being true to who I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think that's important.
Mm-hmm.
So in that, how do you manage opportunities? And what I mean by that is, could be starting out, you could be, years and years deep into it, and there's always gonna be opportunities to work with this person, that company.
Mm-hmm.
But when do you choose to say no? It's like, oh, maybe this is not for me. And like, what are some attributes or characteristics maybe that kind of help your decision on picking and choosing who you want to work with and who you don't?
Definitely. I would say overall, I don't love working with brands or companies that I feel I don't have a lot of experience in their genre of clothing. So, like, for example, there's a couple brands that I worked with at Denver Fashion Week that are like very high fashion and very, it was on their maximalism night. So it's very boisterous and loud and creative and exuberant outfits.
Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself, I was like, I don't think I'd be able to like do a good campaign with them. Like, I don't know if I'd be able to do them justice just because I'm so used to streetwear and the environments that go along with that.
Right.
It's easy for me to sort of make a unique and one-of-a-kind streetwear campaign just based off of a couple pieces of clothes.
Right.
Whereas when I get into the high fashion, I just feel like, I don't know. I feel uncomfortable for some reason.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, I think that would be a case where I probably wouldn't be able to work with someone. And then, of course, there's been a couple times where, like, I just didn't want to work with this specific person.
I gotcha, yeah.
Mainly because of their personality or
Right.
how they treated other people or treated other people they work with. And that's always a lot easier to say no to.
Yeah,
Whereas, like, the other cases, I feel bad because I'm like, I know your clothes are amazing, your work is awesome, but I just feel like I can't do it justice.
Right.
So yeah, there have been a couple times that's happened. But for the most part, I'm still just pretty eager to work with a lot of people.
All right. So I want to go back to what you said about kind of the streetwear. You said, you used the word easy. you know, and I would assume like that's kind of your niche, your specialty. So it becomes easy for you because that's what you've been doing. But not working with high-end fashion, is that because there's no interest there, or is it because it's a challenge that you aren't really to like dive in that spectrum or into that, you know, stratosphere?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say a little bit of both. Like, I think I definitely have a lot more interest in streetwear. I grew up wearing it and styling it on myself, so it's easy to just translate it to photos.
Right.
And the high fashion thing, like, I have two older sisters, but like no one in my family was really into like high fashion.
Right.
So it just feels kind of foreign to me. And I love the work that is created in the high fashion field. It almost seems like I'm not like fancy enough for it. But yeah, I guess if I met the right people and I was introduced to the right photographers, I'd have a little bit more interest in it.
Okay.
But yeah, overall, it just sort of feels a little foreign, and have more interest in streetwear.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in that, what would be something that you would want to challenge yourself with, you know, in your career moving forward, right, as far as anything inside your industry?
Yeah.
What does that look like for you?
I guess, yeah, really stepping out of my comfort zone, because I have created this foundation of work, my portfolio, that's a lot of it is streetwear focused. And now in the past 2 years, I've been introduced to Denver Fashion Week and Aurora Fashion Week and Wardrobe Social. And
Right.
I guess I'm starting to get more experience in the high fashion field. So growing that and working on that side of things would be a good goal for me. But really, my main goal always is to just grow my community. Like, I always, even if I'm happy with the work I'm making, if I'm not happy with the work I'm making, it's always just like meet more people, learn about their creative process, appreciate more art,
Right.
and just build a strong community.
Yeah.
Because like, I could be a millionaire photographer, but if I didn't have any friends, like, it would not, what's the point?
Yeah, I got you.
So I've just been so excited these past 3 years in Denver. Like, there were a couple months I was living in Denver. I was like, how am I going to meet this group of people that I'm imagining in my head?
Right.
This cool, creative, artsy community. And literally, I went to Wardrobe Social, and it started there. And I met one person, they invited me somewhere else, met models, worked with them, and it just spread from there.
Yeah, it's a domino effect.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's been so amazing. I've loved every second of it. Yeah, so it's all just like, I just still feel like a kid on Christmas every time I go to a runway show.
Right.
Yeah.
So when it comes to photography, I think of, you know, the events, the networking, the individual photo shoots. The big thing people don't talk about is the editing, which, you know, that's its own subject.
Yeah.
But, you know, all those things you have to do as a photographer, you know, the word burnout comes to mind. And so do you, as you navigate your business and your career, do you experience burnout, and, you know, how do you manage it, you know, if and when it comes up?
Yeah, no, I've definitely experienced burnout for sure. And earlier in my photography career, when I got burnout, it would last longer and hit harder. So like, I would get too overwhelmed with everything, and then I wouldn't take photos for like 3 or 6 months or something like that. And more recently, it's all actually burnout from editing. That's the main
I figure.
problem.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, a lot of people can attest to it. It's like, I love going out and meeting people and connecting and seeing all this amazing fashion, but then that guarantees like 2 days alone in the dark in my apartment, just like color grading photos. And yeah, that's so draining. Like, I have to make sure that I get outside and go for walks, and I have to make sure that I talk to other people that
Right.
day.
Yeah.
because if I wanted to, I could just edit all through the night and through the next morning, and that's where the burnout really comes from.
Right.
Like I don't get overwhelmed with like event opportunities or any shoot really. I don't get overwhelmed with, you know, physically being there. I just get overwhelmed with all the stuff I have to edit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, if I have a week of like 3 or 4 shoots, then the next week is going to be all better.
Oof.
Yeah.
Sounds brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That kills me for sure.
Yeah, I was into photography and video, but I was like, I would never do it just for the editing purposes. I was like, I don't got the patience for that.
Yeah.
But respect to all you guys that do.
Yeah, especially in summertime. It's like summertime, everyone gets outside, get a lot more photos, more events happening.
Right.
Then you're like, oh, I don't want to be sitting in the dark on this 90-degree beautiful day. Edit it. So
Yeah, and it's amazing. You know, I don't even know the numbers, but I'm sure hundreds for sure, if not thousands of photos you can snap in like a day at one event or one shoot.
Totally, yeah.
And then sift through all those.
Yeah.
So
It's brutal.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what's some big misconceptions that people don't understand about photography? Like they see the surface level, oh, snap, point, shoot. But, you know, what's something they don't understand either about just photography in general or about the craft itself? What would you say?
That's a good question. Well, I think photography is like deeply personal, and each photo is very telling of the model, but also the photographer. You know, how they decide to light it, how they decide to frame it, the angle they choose, the settings they choose on their camera. It all kind of says something about them in that moment.
Right.
So, like, we see these famous photos of, you know, for example, like Muhammad Ali standing over
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Like that famous photo, for example, is like, no one looks at that and thinks like, oh, that's a really like personal photo. They think of that it's like, oh, a very, very famous photo. Everyone's seen that photo. It's a great photo.
Right.
But like the photographer chose that moment and those things for a reason, and he's having like a unique connection between him and Ali that
Right.
no one else is. Even though they're not like talking or communicating, it's like there's a string between them.
Right.
There is something connecting them. And that's what I love about it. It's just like, kind of like what we were talking about earlier. Like we could both take 20 photos of the same thing, but they'll be vastly different,
Right.
depending upon how we choose to do things. And that's what I love about it. It's very unique to each person.
Cool. Yeah, so do you have like your Ali type of photo where it's like your favorite photo that sticks out among the rest of them that's just kind of like, you know, in the present moment that you just love a lot?
Yeah, I do. And it's very unlike the rest of my photos. It's not a fashion portrait. If anything, it's more of like a journalistic style photo. It's during the pandemic. I was back in Portland, Maine, and in front of City Hall, a lot of people started camping out because for some reason the city was like, there was a couple encampments popping up and the city was kind of shuffling them around to specific places, and somehow they ended up being funneled just to the front of City Hall. And I got this great photo of a nurse walking through this like sea of tents, handing out, you know, clean needles and Narcan and that sort of thing.
Right.
And I just love it because it's like so powerful, and it's very telling of that period of time of the pandemic. But yeah, it's not a fashion portrait at all. It's very serious and kind of intense. But yeah, that's one of my favorites for sure.
That's awesome, you know, and like that alone tells a story, you know, by itself.
Totally.
I mean, that's like the power of photos too. Like you get something powerful like that, you know, you can, you know, what they say, a picture's worth 1,000 words or something like that.
Yeah.
So, so outside of, let's say just outside of fashion photography, is there any other like type of photography outside of that you know you've been interested in that you maybe want to like dabble in a little bit or?
Yeah, I've recently been getting a lot more into street photography. So I just started learning about shooting on film cameras like 2 years ago, and very quickly after that came street photography, because that's kind of like, you know, black and white film is best for street photography.
Right. Yeah.
And I've been trying to get better at that. I've been trying to go out on my own and get specifically portraits on the street, because it's hard for me to make that initial contact with someone. And I'm still kind of in the phase of like, should I ask first for the photo, or should I take the photo and then ask? Is that rude? Like, there's all these, kind of rules and manners to street photography.
Yeah.
And some photographers just go right up into people's faces, and they don't mind that, and that's their deal. But I like it because it's a practice in like getting out of my comfort zone, introducing myself to strangers, explaining what I do, explaining that I'm a photographer, getting comfortable, more and more comfortable saying that to anyone. And it's also a lot less pressure than fashion, because runways, like, at the end of the show, a lot of the models are going to be reaching out like, can I get my photos of this outfit at this time, wearing this brand? And it's like, okay, you got it, give me a little bit. But with street photography, it's like, if I get this photo of a bird flying by, that would be great. Yeah. But if I don't, it's not the end of the world. Right. Whereas, like, if I'm missing photos from a whole designer or something, it's like, that was a bad job done. Right. But yeah, street photography, it's just a lot lower stakes and very freeing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. What is something that you know now that you wish you would have knew when you started in this industry?
Oh man. Probably like how many photographers there are in the world. I'd like to know there's a lot of people. Oh man. Yeah, I would like to know really like the level of dedication and not selling yourself, that sounds wrong, like marketing yourself, selling your business, promoting yourself, and getting out there and like putting nose to the grindstone or something.
Yeah.
And really like actually doing work outside of making photos. That's, I think, what's most important to know coming into this industry, is that there's a lot of work that's done outside of just taking photos.
Yeah. You want to elaborate on that a bit?
Yeah, it's really the networking aspect is huge, especially for fashion industry. It's like It's really a lot about who you know, and then the extra care that you take in formatting your work. Like, how do you present your portfolio? How do you present your website? How do you use Google SEO search to like, specialize your website and get your link more promoted in people's algorithms, and networking events and gear, learning all about gear. There's just a lot more that goes into it than people think. And then also the like having interpersonal skills, like being able to connect with people and really understand someone and be able to capture a great photo of them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with anything, I think, in what you do in life and any craft you're trying to perfect, the word mentorship comes into mind. Mm-hmm. And so as you've gone through your career and you've started and where you're at now, is there something or someone that has kind of helped you along the way, or there's someone that sticks out? And what kind of advice have they given you along the way, or what kind of advice have you gotten along the way in general?
Definitely. I have a couple mentors, one of them being a professor at this little art school in Lakewood. He really broke down what it takes to make a career out of this. And he was the one who really drove home the importance of being able to market yourself and properly format your work for people to see it. Being able to network and get out there and reach out for contracts rather than like waiting for them to come to you.
Right.
So he was very important in that aspect of the business side, but I would say my main role model is he was my art teacher from 7th grade.
Oh, okay.
And we just stayed like really tight. And he is like one of the coolest dudes. He was a house DJ in the 90s
Okay.
in New York City.
Nice.
And he just loved all different kinds of art, and he helps me figure out my kind of taste and style when I first started taking photos. Because when I was doing that senior project, he was actually like, I was under his tutelage for that project or whatever.
Right.
He was kind of like sponsoring that project or whatever.
Right.
So from an early age, he was like, he showed me, kind of broke down. He was like, all right, this photo is good. Do you want to know why? And I was like, yeah, why? Because it was like my first month taking photos.
Right.
And he was like, because you place the subject here and then you have another element over here. And I was like, oh, yeah, that is cool. And he kind of helped me figure out what I like in photos and what I like to emphasize.
Yeah.
And why I like streetwear clothes. Of course, he was a big part of my streetwear obsession. And like, we always talked about vintage polo together. That was like our favorite thing. But those two are pivotal in my photography career these days. I reach out to them all the time for guidance. Like if I'm redoing a website, or if I'm making new business cards, or if I'm kind of putting together a campaign for a brand, like I'll call on them for their advice.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, totally.
So as you go out through your career, what would you tell anybody who wants to get started and maybe it's not even in photography, but somebody that wants to get started in a creative passion? They may be timid, they may be scared, or they may be in their passion, but they may be stuck. So what would you kind of tell somebody under those circumstances to kind of like push themselves outside of their comfort zone and to like just go for it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the best advice in that case is like, just keep doing it. Well, I guess if you haven't done it yet, just do it, Nike.
Yeah.
Just keep doing it if you have started it, because like there have been so many times where I'm not inspired by anything. I'm not motivated. I don't want to take photos, and I feel like my photos are coming out bad when I do take photos. Like I'll just be in these major slumps. And the only thing that gets me through it is like, well, I'll just keep taking pictures. Like I'll just go out on the street and just push myself to take photos of birds or, guys playing chess or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, it's tough, but like just keep pushing through. Even if you don't love what you're creating in the moment, like just keep doing it. Like the reps are what's important.
In your career so far, what would you say is one of the biggest things you learned about yourself through this whole process?
Oh man, yeah. I'd say kind of like what I was touching on before, like the biggest thing I've learned is that the world doesn't revolve around me. Like when I first started taking photos, first couple of years of doing it, I was very stubborn with what I wanted to make, with who I wanted to make it with, type of stuff I was taking photos of. I was very particular. And since getting sober and having that big perspective change, like creating art it shouldn't be a strictly independent thing,
Right.
Like it's so important to be working with others, to be creating with others, learning from others, and enhancing each other's art.
Right.
So overall, I would say the biggest thing I learned about me is that like what I need is community and connection. Like kind of like what I was saying earlier of like, I could be a millionaire photographer, but if I didn't have a community around me, I'd still feel like a failure, you know? So even if you are so 100% like driven by your one vision of your art and your creativity, like you got to get outside of your own head,
Right.
and look to others and learn from others and be willing to let go of some of your vision,
Right.
Like your vision is going to change, your creativity is going to change, and it's okay to, let it evolve based off of working with others.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a couple final questions for you. I want to be respectful of your time. But before I get into the final questions, I do want to acknowledge you for a second. And I want to acknowledge you for following your passion and following your dream and willing to take a risk that a lot of people aren't willing to take. And really just putting yourself in these situations and really challenging yourself to put yourself out there and put your name out there and put your personal brand out there. But also the work that you've done internally through your recovery and, your substance abuse past. And, not a lot of people know about that, whether for you or personally, but to dig deep and to essentially ask for help and want better for yourself and going through that process and still coming out better. I think that's really big of you, and that's huge. And I'm happy to see that you're thriving even more and like really just continuing to learn about yourself throughout this whole process. So
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And I'm very grateful to be here. It feels kind of like a full circle moment for me because, like I said, you were at the first runway show I was at.
Yeah.
So it's very cool to be here sort of talking about my story. And I appreciate the space that you've created, this sort of environment that you've made where creatives can come in and feel comfortable talking about really anything.
Right.
So yeah, I'm very grateful to be here.
Yeah. I'm happy to have you, man. So next question is called the 3 truths.
Okay.
So this is a hypothetical situation. In this scenario, you can live as long as you want to 100, 120, 150, whatever it is.
Okay.
And in this life, you get to do everything that you always want to do. You get to work with all the brands you want to work with, Supreme and all the streetwear brands and skateboarding companies. And, you can work with all the models and you can do New York Fashion Week and LA and Paris and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You get to travel all the world. Your photos are all over for everyone to be seen, museums, wherever you want them to be.
Okay.
But one day, it all has come to an end, and it's your final day, whenever you choose that to be. And unfortunately, on this final day, everything that you've ever worked for, everything that you've ever done goes with you, and there's nothing's left behind for us to remember. So all that you have left is a piece of paper with 3 truths of how you see life to be true in your own words. So what would your 3 truths be?
I would say change is the only constant. You can't go through this life alone. And man, put me on the spot. The final one, I would say, just do everything with intention, I think it's important to practice purposeful actions. And, if you're going to go out to connect with people, do it with intention and do it as kindly as you can. But, yeah, I think purposeful action is important to remember.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And before the final question, so we're trying something new. You're the first person that we're going to start this with.
Okay.
So we're going to have another guest, for our next episode after you. And you don't know who they are, what industry they're in, whatever. But I want you to ask them one question that they have to answer up next.
Cool. I like that. Yeah. Okay.
And it could be anything.
What was... I want to figure out how to frame this properly. What was the biggest failed project that you learned the most from?
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. So that means you and everybody else is going to have to tune in on the next episode and see what the answer is. And we'll keep it going. And the last and final question is, in this season of your life right now, what does LIV'N mean to you?
Kind of like what I've been highlighting this whole time is just being around other people, learning from other people, connecting with other people. I think I spent a lot of years living independently, living alone and isolating. And in the past 4 or 5 years, I've been able to grow and participate in the world and actually live in the world amongst other adults.
Right.
And that's just been a dream come true. So it's all been very, very eye-opening and very, educational.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Last but not least, do you want to give out your social media handles? How can people find you? How can people support you?
Totally. My Instagram is Cam Thompson Photo, and my website is camthompsonphoto.com. And I think I have a few more links on there, but you can just check those out and get in touch with me that way.
Hell yeah. Everybody, Cam Thompson, thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you very much for having me.
Cheers.